and Graham retired, so some new guys are going to have to step up, like rookie linebacker Jihad Campbell and safety Andrew Makuba. Defensive coordinator Vic Fangio talked about all the new faces in Philly.
Yeah, we have a lot of battles going on for starting jobs in the different packages. We got some good players battling for it, and it will be interesting. If you ask me to predict who's winning those jobs right now, it's a guess.
That's the biggest thing. Everybody, we talk about competing every single day. And people know those positions that are open, and those guys are. Everybody's out here competing. To keep their job, to take over a job, whatever it may be.
D-Wood, how big a deal is all this changeover on the Eagles defense?
Well, I mean, listen, when you got guys that graduated from the program, moved on to different things, it's always going to be interesting to see how these new fellows integrate into the offense. But when you're the Philadelphia Eagles, and you got Vic Fangio, one of the all-time great assistant coaches that you have, my stress levels as far as this is concerned is minimal. We saw last year, they had two rookies in their secondary last year, in Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. And you're talking about at the end of the year, the Philadelphia Eagles arguably had the best pass defense in the National Football League. So I know that Vic Fangio is going to have these young guys ready to go. So I don't really worry about it much at all.
I just want to point something out here. Those green highlighted players, 10 out of 11 of these players in this defense were drafted by the Eagles. It just speaks to how well they have drafted and that pipeline they've created in their development. Go ahead, Mina.
Well, speaking of how well they draft, Jihad Campbell's already practicing. Just to remind folks, my belief was that he was a top 10 draft pick, worthy of a top 10 pick, and that he fell because of concerns about his injury. The fact that he's already practicing is enormous for Philadelphia, because I really view him as a dream fit in Vic Fangio's defense. His skill set actually does remind me a bit of Zach Bonds in terms of he's a plus pass rusher. He has that sideline-to-sideline range, allowing him to chase down running backs, the versatility to drop into coverage, as well as the wingspan. And now he gets to play next to Zach Bond and learn from him. And, I just love that pick, and I love the player. So the fact that I just want to get him practicing is huge. He seems to be way ahead of schedule. Yeah. And I think as a result, the Eagles defense will be too.
Yeah, Mina, so is there any concern?
I think pass rush is the thing that I would point to. A lot of pass rush snaps walking out the door. Losing Josh Sweat is no joke. You need somebody opposite Nolan Smith to step up.
Yeah. All right. By the way, the Eagles are going to be tested early. Their first 4 games come against the Cowboys. Camp was an interception, but something that doesn't particularly worry the 41-year-old quarterback.
It's good to get that out the way. Anybody that's watched me practice over the years, you like to try certain throws at certain times. And anybody that's watched me in the games knows, and I've been pretty stellar taking care of the football over the years. So there's going to be picks for sure. I'm going to try to fit certain things in. You got to deal with some sweat on the ball from time to time. So it's going to be a good challenge for me throwing this heat every single day. I look forward to it, but I'm going to throw some picks. But I'm going to throw some touchdowns too.
When in Rome, he's going to be Roman. And it's our job to, teach him how we do things. But not only him, guys like Jalen Ramsey and others, man, we got a lot of new significant players. As a coach, I embrace that challenge of educating them not only about the things that we value, but how we go about our business here. They all been really receptive to it.
Now I'm kind of curious about who picked off Aaron Rodgers. Maybe Brooke Pryor can tell us. She was there. It's like, welcome to the team. I'm going to pick you off. All right, Brooke, what did you see from Rodgers at this first full day of camp?
Laura, that was Patrick Queen that picked off Aaron Rodgers on his first throw of his first ever team period as a Pittsburgh Steeler. And the two things I noticed about that were, one, the reaction of the crowd. There were a couple thousand people here, and there was a collective, ooh. And two is that Patrick Queen and the defensive players did not do their normal celebration when they pick off a quarterback in practice. Usually they throw the ball up and they pretend that they're skeet shooting it. They did not do that this time. Maybe don't want to put salt in the wound of their new starting quarterback on the very first play of the very first team period. But look, it was kind of a rocky first day for Aaron Rodgers, because not only did he have that first interception, but he was also only 1 of 3 on passes attempted to DK Metcalf. But Rodgers didn't sound too worried about it, and DK Metcalf didn't sound too worried about it, because those two have had 2 individual training sessions, one before Aaron Rodgers signed and one since. Plus, there was the group workout in Malibu. And DK said he's not really worried about a timetable for when the two of them are going to end up being on the same page. And one thing that might help expedite that chemistry building, those two are suite mates here in Rooney Hall. They share a bathroom, and DK told me he thought that he was going to get to have his own room, and he heard a knock at the door. He went to his front door. Turned out it was Aaron Rodgers knocking on the door of their adjoining bathroom. So sounds like they're, getting to know each other, so they get to talk through things, how they see it. And he thought maybe Aaron Rodgers would play video games with him, because the other night Rodgers walked into his room and said, video games, huh? And DK said, yeah. And then Rodgers just turned around and walked out of the room. So maybe he'll pick up the sticks next time. He's just getting a lay of the land.
This is incredible. This is reporting we only get from Brooke Pryor. She's all over all of it. I absolutely love it. Sharing a bathroom, that's one way to get really close with somebody. Could be good, could be bad. I don't know. Overall, by the way, ESPN Analytics has, thanks, Brooke, the Steelers projected for 8.4 wins this season. If they aren't able to get to 9 wins, it would be their first losing season since 2003. They have a 40% chance to make the playoffs. Pittsburgh seeking their first playoff win since 2016, and they have just a 16% chance to win the AFC North, which they haven't done since 2020. We're going to stay in that division. This is a large reason why it's difficult potentially if you look at the Steelers forecast. The Ravens defense drastically improved throughout last season. In weeks 1 through 10, they allowed 25 points per game, which ranked 25th in the NFL. From then on, they allowed just 15 points per game, which was the best in the NFL. Their last 4 games, extra special, allowing just 11 points on average. This included holding the Texans to just 2 points on Christmas Day. In the offseason, they added Jair Alexander, who had some fun with Lamar Jackson at practice today, former college teammates, remember?
Oh, Lamar, yeah, he threw a back shoulder. He tried to throw a back shoulder on me with D-Hop, so I had to give him a little jazz about that. I said, come on, man. I know it's my first day, but man, it's still me. You know what I'm saying? It's still me. So, but it's always fun, man. We can joke like that.
I don't even know what that exactly meant, but I love it. D-Wood, what do you expect from this Ravens defense?
To be very multiple, to run a lot of simulated pressure. And what we saw from the Baltimore Ravens defense last year, when they moved Kyle Hamilton back to the kind of center field position, that's when they really started to stabilize the secondary, because the secondary was a real big problem for the Baltimore Ravens. Now you go out in the first round, you add Malachi Starr. So, a rangy playmaking type of safety out of the University of Georgia. And what you can do with both of those guys is now you can really mix things up. The disguises and the coverages on the back end, that will make Baltimore even that much harder to decipher if you're opposing offense.
I think this will be one of the best defenses in the NFL, flat out. When you look at the rankings over the course of the season, they're super misleading. Damian, you alluded to this, Laura as well. In the second half of the season, after they made the safety change we talked about, they were first in EPA per play, first in success rate, first in points per game. And they addressed what I honestly will say was their biggest weakness, which was cornerback position opposite Nate Wiggins. Brandon Stevens out, Jair Alexander in. Even if he's not healthy, you have Bouzier there, so you have some depth. I expect this defense to be even better than they were last season, especially with Zach Ward, their defensive coordinator, and some more experience under his belt. He can continue growing with them. So I'm very, very high on this unit. And, of course, they get to play complementary football and have the benefit of playing with one of the best offenses in the NFL, too.
Yeah, it's a great point. I agree they're improved. But, Mina, check out the schedule. At the Bills, the Browns, Lions, at the Chiefs, Texans, and Rams. That's how they start off. That defense started slow last year. They got to be really good out the gates, right?
Yeah, I think the Bills will test them immediately with the run game, because if there is one thing I'm worried about with this Ravens defense, the loss of Michael Pierce, their nose tackle. Don't sleep on that, and the Bills have a very physical downhill rushing attack.
All right, great stuff. Let's go back to a developing story today. Justin Fields at Jets camp, he was carted off of the practice field, an apparent lower leg injury. That's from Adam Schefter earlier today, but Lindsay is here with more. So, Lindsay, what more can you tell us about Justin Fields' injury and status now?
Sure, Justin Fields carted off, but not nearly as serious as one might have thought initially. It is a dislocated right toe for Justin Fields. He's going to be day-to-day, likely will miss a little bit of time in training camp, but they fully anticipate that he'll be ready to go week 1. So that, like Rich Sweeney said today earlier, the front seat of the car was a big sign that it wasn't as serious as maybe
no.
Hello, xin chào tất cả mọi người. Hôm nay mình sẽ hướng dẫn các bạn gấp một chú chó màu tím như thế này nhá. Bây giờ các bạn vào làm cùng mình luôn nhé.
Rồi, ok. Để bắt đầu vào làm thì các bạn sẽ chuẩn bị cho mình những dụng cụ như sau. Ở đây mình có chuẩn bị 2 tờ giấy có 2 màu khác nhau. Đó là màu tím và màu đen này. Tiếp theo các bạn sẽ chuẩn bị cho mình một cây kéo, một cái bút chì, một cái thước. Cuối cùng là một cây súng bắn keo như thế này nhá. Đó, các bạn sẽ chuẩn bị cho mình các cái dụng cụ như vậy nhá. Rồi bây giờ mình sẽ hướng dẫn các bạn vào làm này. Đầu tiên thì các bạn sẽ lấy cho mình cái bút chì và thước kéo, đo cho mình kích thước của cái tờ giấy này. Nó sẽ là 10 cm này. Các bạn sẽ đo cho mình 2 cái ô vuông 10 cm nha. Rồi bây giờ mình sẽ kẻ nó thành 2 cái ô vuông hoàn chỉnh nhé. Rồi mình đã kẻ xong được 2 cái ô vuông như thế này rồi. Bây giờ mình sẽ dùng cây kéo này để mình cắt 2 cái ô vuông này ra nhé. Rồi bây giờ mình sẽ cắt đôi 2 cái ô vuông này ra nhé. Đó, các bạn sẽ cắt ra cho mình tổng cộng là 2 cái ô vuông có kích thước là 10 cm như này cho mình. Bây giờ mình sẽ hướng dẫn các bạn gấp hình chú chó này. Đầu tiên mình sẽ gấp đôi cái tờ giấy này vào thành cái hình tam giác như thế này. Rồi sau đó các bạn sẽ gấp cái phần này của nó xuống đây cho mình. Đó, và đây là mình sẽ làm cái phần thân cho chú chó nhá. Tiếp theo thì các bạn sẽ gấp cái phần này xuống cho mình này. Đó. Rồi bây giờ mình sẽ lấy cái hình vuông thứ hai. Các bạn cũng sẽ tiếp tục gấp đôi cái tờ giấy này vào thành cái hình tam giác như thế này cho mình.